I've seen it's great, man.
Yeah.
I think it's really well, and a lot of people, there are different directions to go, obviously, with a podcast, and a lot of people who are like getting started, and I've done this too, and I kind of enjoy it, but they try to be as funny as humanly possible on a podcast. They make it like a morning radio, almost like a comic driven morning radio show.
Yeah, I don't.
And no, I like that yours is a little bit more serious and an actual interview. And I think most comics who are not like fully established and haven't been around for a long time, they don't really have the patience to actually interview someone. I think I might be that guy who doesn't have the patience, but it's cool that it's I think it's a good direction to go.
Yeah.
Just in general, but for you specifically.
I'm not even looking at this as an interview. I have no trajectory to where this conversation is going to go. I don't. That's exactly what this is, a conversation. And
the Mark Maron style. I like it.
I look at
conversation.
Mark Maron, Joe Rogan, which I'm not the biggest Joe Rogan guy, but I respect him. Like, he has all these different.
To be honest, I feel like you're almost like the combination. If I was going to combine Joe Rogan and Mark Maron,
if they had
I think it might
child,
end up.
It would be this.
Yeah, I think the in vitro baby of Mark Maron and Joe Rogan could be Ian Rousso, possibly.
I think Joey Diaz is another guy. Church of What's Happening Now. Is such like that pod. I listen to Rogan and Maron from time to time, depending on the guest. But like Joey Diaz was one where like every episode it was like I had tremendous love for what he was doing, and he wasn't there trying to make jokes.
Yeah, and like funny things happen, incidentally, but he's not going out of his way to make it a funny podcast.
Yeah, and he's just a naturally funny guy. He's a character.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's really the key, man. I think you have a lot of that. Yeah, like both of us.
Yeah.
But I think you in particular have you have the ability to be funny without even trying to be funny.
Yeah,
not even necessarily intentionally, or things happen incidentally that are funny, and this is kind of a nice platform for that.
Yeah.
Or just and you don't have to be. No, the expectations aren't that you're going to be hilarious all the time, but there will be funny things that happen.
Yeah. A guy like you, like the thing I admire about you is you are very present, and you like react in this sort of unfiltered way to think. Like, you're not afraid to call out people in the audience. Like a few weeks, or like maybe a week or two ago at Comedy Rhetoric, the people wwho left and came back for like a fucking blanket or something. Yeah.
Yes. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I didn't do that story justice.
No, it's The thing is, like, I don't even know if it's really a story necessarily. And to be honest with you, I do. My goal is ideally to be as present as possible, let things happen in the audience, and kind of go in and out of material, but also just be there with everybody. Because starting out in stand-up, I saw a lot of people, especially at open mics, but also established comics, kind of just doing essentially what would have been a Zoom show for an audience.
Yeah,
they're not listening to the beats. They're not responding, because when you do stand-up, you get feedback. You get very specific feedback from the audience.
Yes.
Sometimes it's verbal, but a lot of the time it's just laughter telling you what's going on, or applause, depending upon what kind of comic you are. If you're getting clapter.
Yeah,
that happens too. But the point is, there's so much information being given to you by the audience. And I do think a lot of people kind of don't even attempt to take that in. And I've probably gone the direction of listening too much to what the audience is telling me. But I think that's kind of a good problem to have to some degree. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So the show. Well, first of all, the thing, and you can also get into trouble interacting too much with the audience and being too unfiltered if they don't have a sense of who I am, or they don't pick up on the fact that most of the unfiltered stuff is 100% sarcastic and not meant to be mean or derisive or any of that sort of stuff. People can get offended. Like, I think we might have lost about 6 consistent audience members because I made fun of them for leaving during my set, and And if you leave during a set, you should be willing to get made fun of, and also willing to come back. That's my perspective. But everybody, people are really sensitive, and I do forget that other people don't have the exact same point of view. That I forget sometimes that people are sensitive, because I'm not at all. I love being made. If it's funny, I love being made fun of.
Oh yeah, like it's weird.
Actually, even if it's not funny, I like it too.
It depends on the intention. I don't know. Like for me, like I've been in LA long enough where my skin, I feel like my skin is like just way tougher. Like even particularly in just the last year, just like with everything turning to shit the way it has, like I feel like I could take it. I could take anything. Like but as far as like I could see like the intention does make a difference. Like if it's in the name of fun, yeah.
Yeah, and it as you like, I feel like, you know, I'm not there yet, but the goal is to get so good at that that it is unmistakable that it's a joke, and everybody's always on the same page, no matter what I say, no matter how crazy the thing is that I say. And that's not necessarily even my intention to say crazy things, but I try to not filter myself, so occasionally something insane does come out.
Yeah. It's like I'm trying to think of a good example of that. I already feel like I've said enough kind words about Louis in the past couple episodes, but not
Louis C.K.
Yeah. No, but he was very good at just saying like the most absurd, offensive shit, but tonally, so like you could tell that it was in the name of fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, his tone was so consistently I guess friendly or not abrasive.
Yes.
That he could say anything. He could say absolutely. I mean, he said the N word and people liked it. You know, like he could say absolutely anything, and people would understand that it was a bit, and give him a lot of leeway that other people didn't get.
Yes. Like,
and that's I mean, that's not like a conscious goal of mine, comedy wise, but like, what a nice place to be. That would you know. That would be a nice end goal or end result of all of this stuff.
Yeah, that's a skill that I think that must take like 20 years to like really.
Yes. Well, and you're playing with fire, and that, to me, that's really the impetus. It's like, how exciting to try to walk a comedy tightrope.
Oh yeah.
Like when you're at an outdoor show when there's crazy shit happening.
Yeah.
You can do material, and that you can walk a comedy tightrope doing material, like saying something that people didn't expect, or sort of toying with fire as you're on stage. But you can also walk the tightrope interacting with the audience, and it's like, I kind of see it like a training exercise. You're always, every set is, unless you're recording a special, is a training exercise to get you as funny as possible. So why not make the training exercise as difficult as possible?
Dangerous,
and a lot of open mic, like if you just start doing stand-up, they think that that's the only, they've seen Louis, they've seen Bill Burr, they've seen Tosh or something, and they're like, the only funny joke is a rape joke. Like, that's not true.
Yes,
definitely. But there is something to be said for taking a topic or a situation that in theory is not funny, and turning it into something funny, as opposed to like just making an easy joke, a joke that has been made before, or a situation that lends itself to a joke.
Yeah, being able to being able to find like an unfunny subject, and I guess in some sort of way like digging yourself out of like a small hole. And as the longer
absolutely, exactly, no, and I, for whatever reason, that's always been my instinct, is like, find a hole. And it's gotten, I've certainly had ugly sets at open mics and not at open mics.
We all have.
Where I've dug a hole that I shouldn't have, but I do like digging a hole and trying to get out of it.
Which I feel like this is a conversation. I feel like I had this conversation with you before, but Bill Burr is a guy who's
he's the king of that.
Yeah.
Well, and okay, so this is like a comedy, a stand-up story that's probably relevant to Bill Burr. He might have actually told it. I don't know who told it initially, but supposedly all these comics in Boston in like the 80s, they would like play this game with each other, where they would go on stage and start the set saying something like completely outlandish, and not attempting even to make it funny, like the exact wrong thing and then go into their set as a challenge to see if they could make their set work or their act work. And I think he's kind of, he grew up in that pedigree.
Okay.
And that's the kind of style of stand-up that he does. And I just like that. I like all those guys from Boston. I mean, those are some of the most amazing comics, but it's not specific to an area. I think Jim Jeffries kind of does that, and he's from Australia.
Yes.
There are all sorts of people who have that sort of inclination. I really do think that's where you find the best stuff, because it's so difficult to get out of a hole like that.
Yeah, it's harder to practice that now because everybody has smartphones, particularly with something like Comedy Rhetoric.
That's tricky.
Like, you're in a park and we can't stop people from recording us. Like, even last night there was a lady with an acoustic guitar who like must have been in the area. She was started recording, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh God, are we about to go viral? Is she going to report us to the CDC?"
I'm pretty sure. I think I saw who she was on Instagram.
Yes, and I saw that Comedy Rhetoric, like it was reposted in the stories, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" And she had respect for what we were doing. She was like, "This is a clever, safe way to produce live comedy."
That's an interesting point you're raising. When someone's filming you, first of all, in a comedy club they'd never allow it, and now we're outside, so you can't determine whether or not someone. Well, basically, you can't enforce any sort of rules about filming. And when someone's filming you, there's a 50-50 chance they're filming you and they're going to put it online and possibly incriminate you, possibly represent you the wrong way, or possibly just burn material that you're working on. And then the other 50% chance is that they just liked your set and they're going to post a 4-second story that's complimentary.
Yeah.
And you never know.
Even that I don't like. Like, there are some places
well, yeah, okay. So for you, there's a 100% chance that there's something bad happening when someone's filming.
No, there's a couple places that will record comic set and upload them online, or I don't know, for example, live stream them. And it's like,
yes, no. If somebody, that's really a nightmare, man. Social media has really overcomplicated live performance.
Yes. And to develop
in a
ideas.
big way.
Yeah.
Well, think about, like, I mean, stand-up's a pretty young art form, but like maybe in the 80s, someone would try to bring like a camcorder into it. Like, and it's so transparent. You're holding something like this big up film. Yeah, but now it's super clandestine. You can just sneak a phone. It's gotten too easy to record people.
Yeah.
And good quality too. And the big issue, and this has been said a million times, is that a lot of stuff gets taken out of context.
Yes.
You can record chop it up, record the wrong part of a set, and you look like basically you can make any comic look like a monster, a cult leader if you just cut up their set the wrong way. Make them look like you can make every comic look like a criminal if you just edit properly.
Yeah. That's something that that is a fear that I face every day, because even I got to get out of the habit of reacting to somebody's set, like to somebody recording my set, even if it's like a boomerang or something, which you don't know. Like, sometimes I'll stop and be like, "Can you not record me?" Because these like really, really fresh, new to the scene open micers, they don't know quite yet.
Right. That's tricky too. And also, people want to be social media famous. They want to get hits on social media, so they think they have to record everything. And the issue is they might end up recording a part of your set that you don't want recorded.
Yeah. God, it's just crazy. Like, technology moved very fast in the past. I would say like 10 years ago. Like, the processing power of a smartphone is just unreal. And it's like
it's tricky. And the thing is, like, it's actually great for comedy for the most part. The issue is what we just tackled.
Yeah.
But like being able to build your own audience on social media, media splintering, the amount of specials that are recorded, I mean, that's increased astronomically in the last 5 or 6 years, and that's a good thing for stand-up. Stand-up is ubiquitous now. Everybody, and also a lot of people know things about stand-up comedy and day-to-day stuff that no one was aware of until very, very recently because of podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's like, but regular people know about, you know, showcase sets where you run material and then you take stuff on the road, and they know what a middle and a headliner is. Like, nobody knew what that was until very, very recently, because now everyone listens to comics talking honestly about their lives.
I even look at a show like Kill Tony. I credit them for the fact that people have an understanding of like what open mics are and how miserable they could be. And
yeah, well, my issue with Kill Tony though is that, like, it kind of makes people want to watch a comic fail.
Yeah, but
that's
when they don't,
a bit of a problem. When they don't, it's great, and I don't think. I think it could actually be a great way to watch, you know, comics who don't platform otherwise.
Yeah.
But you know, it is a bit of a problem when Tony Hinchcliffe is like, "Hey, do you guys want to see this guy do well?" And
oh
hear this.
God,
Every episode, you want to see this guy bomb?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my issue, if there is an issue with that show.
Let me put it this way. I have, like, yes, there is a sort of, they are banking on the comic to fail. However, when a comic truly kills, that is way more satisfying.
Despite those circumstances. No, you're absolutely right.
Like Saul Trujillo, for example, is a guy who I remember, like, that was one of the first times I've seen him destroy, and like that, like, did that make it? Is that going to make his career in the long run? Not necessarily, but a lot of people know who he is now because of it.
Yeah, and Saul's great. Like, and that guy's been around for a long time. He's prepared to do very, very well with adverse circumstances. Most of the people who go up there, they're people who are like, they interview them after their set, and they're like, "How long have you been doing stand-up?" And they're like, "Oh, this is my third set." Well, you went up in front of people who want to see you who would love to see you trip and fall on your way up to the stage and not even do a set, as opposed to kill. Like, to them, it would be more entertaining if you slipped on a banana peel on stage than doing an actual set.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part. But yeah, a guy like Saul, he's been around for a while. He's really, really funny. And he's gonna kill, even if it's just a minute. And just a minute is not a lot of time to do stand-up.
Oh, I can't. It's definitely designed like someone like Mikey McKernan does very well, because all of his stuff, it's like joke.
Right. Yeah, and that's cool. There's some people who are built for it, and they should definitely do it.
Because I remember one of the worst bombs that I've ever had in my entire life was it was back when Kill Tony was in the main room, and I condensed a 3-minute bit. I was just rushing through it like a minute. I was not a good comic back then. I was probably like a fraction as developed as I am now, even just being comfortable on stage. Like, not that I'm Bill Burr now or anything, but I remember, like,
I mean,
I
put you guys
this.
You guys are in my top 5.
Yeah.
You
Mark Maron, Joe Rogan, Bill Burr, Ian Ira Rousso.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not allowed to say Louis. So yeah, so Mark Maron, Ian Russo, Bill Burr. I don't know. It's Ian Russo, Bill Burr. They're just it's so close. I always say that. I always say, can I call it? Can I tie?
Yeah.
Can I have 3 people be second?
Oh man.
And it's always you, Mark Maron, and Bill Burr tied for second.
Oh. It's just like yeah, no, but it was just like I was like rushing through. Like, it's a very difficult environment to get up and do storytelling. Kill Tony.
Yeah. I mean, the stakes are basically, the odds are against you doing. Well, no, the odds are against you every time you do stand up.
Period.
Really, stand up is not easy.
Yeah,
you have to.
Getting up in front
it takes a lot of work. Yes, you're getting up in front of a theoretically neutral audience full of people you don't know, and you got to make them laugh almost immediately, or they will give up on you. and doing that in a situation where like they kind of want to see you fail, and there's people standing beside you and
Yeah.
people playing musical instruments and running on stage with their clothes off, and so there's like so much chaos there
Yeah.
that of course the stakes are or even or the situation is even more difficult to
Even
overcome.
something even something like at an open mic at a club, like Lab Work, for example, where it's all comics, all the like every comedian, not every comedian, like I like to believe that some are more indifferent, but they want to see you do not as well
Yeah,
as they do, and they're going over jokes in their
it's
heads, and to get
that's
their
the problem with
intention.
performing for comics. Comics are super competitive, and
Yes,
we kind of
out in
pretend
LA,
that we're
yeah,
not because well and we're all clowns. We're all supposed to be goofy and silly and friendly,
yeah,
but people, they want to make money, they want to succeed, and
yeah,
they wouldn't hate it if certain people failed, I think, a lot of the
yeah.
time. And
But
and Hollywood is a vicious place, and people pretend that it's not.
oh,
It's
it's horrible.
extremely it's like uh it's paradise to some degree. There are palm trees everywhere, the
Yeah,
weather's nice, but it's cutthroat.
it's cutthroat, very competitive. I think one of the reasons that I'm able to maintain a sense of tough skin is that I'm a goddamned New Yorker, which is not much to
Yeah, it
have.
doesn't hurt. I mean, I can't really imagine being from Los Angeles
Yeah,
and doing stand up
people
here, but
are.
Los Angeles is a huge city too. There a lot of people from Los Angeles who do stand up in LA are like from Boyle Heights or Hawthorne
Yeah,
or Compton, and like that. You're probably going to be pretty tough if you're from those neighborhoods. If you're from Beverly Hills, yeah, how the hell could you pull this off? I don't and unless you have connections, obviously.
yeah, I have no idea, and even got connections, they'll get your foot in the door, but the second you fail, the second that you start eating consistent, unless you're consistently killing, you're still as worthless as the next guy.
Yeah, I agree, Ian. We're all as worthless as the next.
Yeah,
We all have the potential to be as worthless as the next guy. I think you're right
yeah.
about that.
I do look at us though, the Comedy Rhetoric people. I'm very proud at what we are doing. We have started to monetize a show. We are working like a well-oiled machine and producing comedy in a very tough time to do it as safely as humanly possible.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's interesting because I mean, there's so many logistical problems that could occur,
yes,
but the nice thing is that nobody else is doing it, so that we're the only game in town. So it's both the hardest time and the easiest time to produce a comedy show. You
yeah,
know, because normally you'd have to compete with every single comedy club. They would say, "Well, I can go see all these comics perform at the Comedy Store," and now they
yeah.
can't.
People with TV credits, like it's like, oh, people who I'm going to be excited just to be in the same room with, and it's like it's definitely like,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's
Well, but it's an opportunity that I think anybody could take advantage of, and we're just one of the groups of people doing that.
yes, and it's yielding incredible results, and people who've been in this business a very long time, people who have worked forever, like they admire what we do, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
God,
No, that's been going great. I'm very, and it's also just nice to know that you're gonna get on stage, man, because
yeah,
you can't expect to take like an entire year off or more than that from stand up
yeah.
and not get significantly worse it's a craft. You have to keep doing it. You have to
Oh,
grease the groove at the very least.
that's another thing. When things reopen, everybody else is gonna be horrible, and we're gonna at least
Uh,
have backbones on
the thing is,
stage. Yeah,
I feel bad for comics who are like kind of established and would
yeah,
get shamed if they did stand up right now, because
yes.
they're basically forced to take time off.
That and just the fact that they also essentially lost their livelihood. Like
Yeah, you can't make money.
I look at some of like the comics who essentially just got passed at the store or just started regularly getting on the road, and it's like I know at the beginning of this, I don't know if it's like this now, but they were like, because they were technically independent contractors, they weren't able to file for unemployment.
Yeah.
And it's like that's
But
rough.
It's really tricky.
Yeah.
And some people are like, it's a perfect storm for some people where they're established enough where people would be mad at them for doing shows.
Yes.
But they're not established enough to where they have tons of money in the bank and they're just, stuck and they can't really do anything. I feel bad for those people.
Something I do.
And the irony is those are people I was so jealous of, a year ago. Or I was like, oh, that'd be so cool to be in that person's position, and now that's a nightmare in that position.
I will say something that I really respect about the Comedy Store is that they have spent all this time taking care of all their paid regulars and door guys who've like fallen on hard times. I think I could be wrong, but I believe all their door guys are still at least collecting some sort of paycheck.
That's cool.
Because I know they.
I didn't know that. That's great.
I know they had a fundraiser for it a while ago. I know like Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz. I think even Dave Chappelle did it. It was like an online fundraiser to make sure.
Oh, that YouTube thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, this is like much earlier on in the pandemic.
Yeah. No, I watched some of that. It was the funniest part. Did you watch it?
I did not.
I heard
you
should go back and check it out. I'm sure it's still. Well, the funniest part by far was when Bert Kreischer interviewed Adam Sandler.
that sounds like
Bert Kreischer, I think he said he loves Happy Madison, the movie. and Adam's just like playing it cool, and Bert's like misremembering every name of every movie, screaming, saying that he watches all the movies with his kids, asking him about script, saying that he's written a bunch of scripts and can't sell anything, really uncomfortable conversational topics. Bert's like, yeah, no one will ever read my scripts. And it's like, why do you say that to Adam Sandler live on YouTube? That was very funny.
Wow. Did you see Uncut Gems?
Yes.
It was very
multiple times. I've seen it more than once now, I think.
Okay, I'm probably going to Go on.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I did.
As a New York Jew, do you think it represents the jewelry district properly?
Yes, I do. I think or definitely sensationalizes it. I wouldn't go as far. I don't know any characters like that, but I thought it was very well done. I thought the Passover scene was very it made me nostalgic to going out to Long Island to celebrate Passover with my Uncle Mickey and Aunt Esther. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been to similar Passovers too in Chicago and San Francisco. That might be a ubiquitous Jewish thing.
I keep forgetting that you're originally from Chicago.
No, I went to school there.
Okay.
And I have a ton of family there, but I'm from San Francisco.
Oh, right on. Where did you go to school in Chicago?
I went to U Chicago for graduate school.
Right on. I was talking to Kurt about this. I almost applied to Northwestern for film school.
Oh yeah.
I last.
I lived in Evanston for 2 seconds. I was using their library a lot. It's a nice campus. It's a great school.
Beautiful out there. I would not want to be out there during the winter though.
Yeah. That was the tough part, man. Especially coming from San Francisco, that is a long winter.
Were you eating?
Longer than New York.
Were you eating lots of Chicago dogs?
Yes, I put on maybe 40 pounds when I lived in Chicago. I was a real piece of shit when I lived out there.
God,
I was eating deep dish pizza. I worked at a deep dish pizza place.
Which one?
Tons of deep dish pizza. Al's Beef. Have you ever had the Italian beef? You would love the Italian beef.
There's a place.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like our tacos. The taco stands we have in LA.
Yes.
That's the Chicago equivalent. It's like street food. They fill a normal sub roll just with beef and peppers. That's it.
Oh, it sounds delicious.
Yeah. No, it's great, man. I ate Chicago is a great city to really treat your body horribly.
Oh yeah,
but and it was fun.
Best food.
Very, very fun. But heavy Italian, Ukrainian, you know, like it's not light. There's nothing light about Chicago. Dark beer. Everybody's out drinking all night long. Late bars.
What time's last call in Chicago?
They have late night bars. They have bars that close at like 5 a.m.
God, New York doesn't even have that. And I think
really, I thought New York stayed open pretty late. Pretty late in California, San Francisco, and LA. Everything you can't get back. I mean, I don't really go out anymore, but when I used to, you can't get into a bar past like 1:30.
Yeah, I remember me and my cousin the night before my sister's wedding. We were like, she got married in San Francisco, and we went. We were out until it was probably around like 1. Yeah, it was like 1. And it was like, what? There's no bars. There's no more bars open. It's the last call. This is.
Yeah, no, it starts getting more interesting the further east you go. I'm sure New York is fun.
Yeah.
The whole East Coast is fun, and Chicago is pretty fun too.
Oh, I've gotten home like as the sun was rising more times than I could count back when I was living in New York.
And you're doing a lot of music, right?
Oh yeah, I was playing in punk bands, and I was going solo singer-songwriter for a bit. Those are some fun
cool.
days,
now,
yeah.
What made you directly transition to comedy from that?
Kind of. It was I wasn't doing music for maybe like 2 years between comedy and music. Like I was focusing, I was graduating. I went back to school late, earning my degree from City College of New York. And I remember I met somebody who she hosted an open mic at a bar in Park Slope called Fifth Estate. It's no longer there. The bar is called something else now. I don't remember. Like, it's been a while since I've been back. But and the night before my last final, that was my first open mic, and I just sort of like fell in love with comedy. Like I was slowly falling in love with this craft, that even though it was making me miserable. I started like smoking again. I was drinking way more. I was around really toxic, miserable people that like it's insane to me how we accept how like in comedy like we accept that being such trash to each other is okay, whereas in any other social setting, any other career field, they would be gone. Like it's like
absolutely. No, if it is funny. Like there's no, the fact of the matter is there's really no vetting system for getting into stand-up comedy or any element of entertainment, and there's no HR department.
Yeah, that I was just about to say, no HR department.
Yeah. So you can, I mean, I think back at like times have changed a bit with social media. You can shame people.
Yeah.
But basically the HR department now is, public shame.
Yeah.
Which is significantly worse than getting fired from a company. It would have been nice if before we would jump to public shaming, we went through a process of like getting fired or being told a slap on the wrist from the HR department, which is what happens at normal companies or normal industries. We just jump from no holds barred to your life is over if you say the wrong thing to someone.
Yeah,
which is a bit dramatic too. People more forgiving than we give them credit for too. I think a lot of people who have been like canceled, a lot of them have come back and no one really cares.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the canceling was more along the lines, more fell along the parameters of virtue signaling, and once like it didn't matter. There's a lot of people who I think like took hits over the past couple years who I think are gonna do just fine once people stop paying attention.
Yeah, and I think people already have. Yeah. And also, like, I kind of thought at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, oh, how nice. This is going to make everyone realize how meaningless a lot of this, like virtue signaling stuff is.
Yeah.
Things that could be categorized as virtue signaling. And it didn't quite do that, but I think it sort of has. I think people understand that, like, you could just die at any moment. Like a plague can hit the world.
Oh God, yeah.
Things can get really ugly really quick. maybe we don't need to worry so much about somebody telling a joke about,
Yeah.
something that's a faux pas.
Yeah. And just the fact that we as far as like people be I think it has to do a lot with the fact that because we are confined to our homes and a lot of us are alone and our only means of communicating with the outside world is social media, which is designed to make us angry at each other.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a little scary too. You're right. Well, the irony is, like, I thought it was going to kind of squash a lot of the, social media alarmism, and it sort of exaggerated it and made it worse in waves, though. And I think what it kind of has done is we're so isolated with social media that I think it's sort of exhausted a lot of people too. Like, I think people have given up on virtue signaling to a degree. I don't know if that's actually true. That's just my guess. But like, you have so much unadulterated time to freak out online now. I think some people are starting to get tired of doing it.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people know, it's so bad for your mental health, and it just makes you.
Oh man.
Like this is like what happened at the Capitol last week. Like, was a lot. I'm sure. Like, social media has exacerbated the worst parts of their personalities to like turn them into these monsters. Like, it didn't have to get to that point. Is what
no, I think you're right about that. I think those aren't necessarily the most well-intentioned people.
Yeah.
But
no. Oh yeah.
Whatever their starting point is, it's been exacerbated by social media. There's no doubt about that. Or whatever sort of like Reddit or 4chan, whatever platform they're on, has made it worse.
Which I like
significantly worse.
Which is fun. Like, it's funny because like once it became clear that the virus, while still very contagious, it is for the most part avoidable. I have my face masks, my hand sanitizer. I have a hook to open doors, which I don't know if
interesting. I was thinking about using two hook hands. Do you think that's a good idea?
Two hook hands,
like this sort of thing.
Yeah, I got
yeah.
Yarr!
Do you think that would be a problem with stand-up comedy? I could just hold the mic between two hooks.
I don't know, bro.
And
no, but
it could be good. I mean, you turn into a prop comic at that point. 90% of your material is about your hook hands.
I'm hooked.
Yeah, so continue.
No, but I feel like once it became apparent that there are proactive measures you could take to avoid getting sick, like I did sort of actively try to get a life off of social media, and there's a lot of people I'm far closer to because of it, like you, for example. Like, I don't think we've ever hung out before the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, we also started working on a show together. Yeah, that's a lot of it.
Yeah, August, September we started.
Yeah. But no, that's interesting too. I mean, do you meditate? Are you into anything like that?
I don't have the mindset to meditate, but I should probably get into it. It's because my brain.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that would be good for you then. To me, the like complete polar opposite of social media and like alarmism and clickbait culture and all that sort of stuff is just like either reading.
Yes, that I am trying to get into.
Actually, reading a book, that's something most people have no patience for now, even though they'll read hundreds of articles, news-based articles that are just like trying to the whole goal of the article is to freak them out.
It's funny.
In the meantime, they could have read War and Peace in the meantime. Talk
about a book that's supposed to like alarmism.
Yeah, maybe I'd start with something maybe not so on the nose, given what we're dealing with now.
I didn't start reading 1984 yet. I started reading by Cathy O'Neill. It's a book called Weapons of Math Destruction, MATH. And it is about algorithms and their effect on their threat to democracy and injustice, inequality.
Interesting.
It is like
I think that's all great stuff to read, but I would maybe try reading something that's not about how horrible things are now.
Yeah, I would like to read more fiction, more story, something
Yes.
inspiring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
I have a copy of Chris Gethard's book that I've been meaning to dive deeper into. I've read like one chapter so far a couple years ago, and I don't know. He's a guy who I feel like has had like a similar path to me, like through the punk scene.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, that seems like autobiographies are great. Any of that stuff is
yeah.
great.
Like anything
Uh,
inspiring.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Actually, I'll lend you. I just got a John Cleese's book. It's almost like a children's book, but it's about creativity. John Cleese.
Okay.
I could lend you that. It's very, very short, but it is kind of inspiring and helpful.
I wish more comedians wrote books.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, a lot of comedians, the stereotype of a comedian's book is like they basically write like a really half-assed autobiography and just want to make some money. And I think comics now are getting more inventive and writing more interesting books. Like Norm Macdonald's book, I think, was nominated for the National Book Award or something like that.
Lori Kilmartin, she's a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. People are writing cool books now. But before, a lot of people were writing like road stories, stories of comic stories, and they're just kind of like, yes, yeah, and then my room service came a little bit late, and like that's the whole like that's not enough for a book.
Oh God, Jerry Seinfeld has that new book. Is this anything? Is this anything? Where it's just material, and it's like I almost bought the book thinking that this is going to be like some sort of, because he's a guy whose story I'm interested in. Is like very different time he started in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But okay. But what I was saying though is, getting it, if you want to get as far away from your phone as possible, reading or from clickbait stuff.
Yeah.
Reading and meditating, I think, are great. And meditating is even, in my opinion, even easier than reading because you don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of
you just sit there? What were you gonna say?
You ever heard of something called an information cleanse?
Yes. I mean, I think I know what you mean. Basically, just like taking in as little stimuli as possible, right?
You are not using your smartphone for any reason other than, like, I think you could do GPS, but you don't use your smartphone for an entire week. And I've heard of people, I have friends who've done it, and they've told me like they fall almost immediately. They fall asleep easier. They're less stressed out. Just everything. Because I think the problem with society right now is that we are essentially subject to a fire hose of information. It's just so bad for you.
Our phones are they're like little panic machines, and we're panicking for reasons that are really not worthy of panic. That's the big problem. You're like somebody's texting you, you're late for something, you just got an update from Reddit about something you didn't even know existed before Reddit came out. Like there's all this, we're worried about things that literally didn't exist 10 years ago.
Turning off push notifications, I can't recommend that
enough.
That's
great. And
I even turned off push notifications on Facebook Messenger, and email I might turn back on, but I think right now the only notifications I get are text messages and fantasy football. Now that
there you go. Well, you got your priorities straight. That's good. All that matters really is fantasy football.
Fantasy football.
I say get rid of the text.
That's all I had during
the pandemic. Get rid of the text notifications. I say stick to fantasy football. I invested in DraftKings. So do you use DraftKings?
I do not. I've heard.
I hear you're using the wrong platform.
I hear DraftKings is awesome. Is
they're doing. I don't know anything.
Is DraftKings that program that Joey Diaz has been like advertising at the beginning of the joints?
I think they do a lot of podcasting advertisements, but it's I don't really know anything about fantasy football, but that stock has taken off during the pandemic. During the pandemic, when there's no real sports, or sports aren't what they were. Before. It's like through the roof. So obviously a lot of people are using it. But I'm glad your fantasy football is just beneath like text from mom. Fantasy football's right there. Like those are the prioritized things in your life.
Super important.
What was I going to say? Well, yeah, of course, yeah, I get it, man. So, are you a Giants fan or a Jets fan?
Grew up Giants. I went
Okay.
briefly was a Jets fan just when I was going through my punk rock phase when I wanted to piss off my Giants family. And it's like
I
the
also feel like
Jets.
anybody a Jets fan? I've never met a Jets fan.
I think Jets fans are mainly in Jersey, whereas Giants
Okay.
is like New York, where somebody once told me you are either a Yankees and Billy Joel fan, or I'm sorry, a Mets and Billy Joel fan, or a Yankees and Bruce Springsteen fan. And that's kind of like the divide between like the New Jersey side of the New York metropolitan area and the Long Island side.
So that makes sense. But
Yeah.
I definitely met way fewer Mets and Jets fans.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that their teams those are not great teams historically.
Oh yeah, they are the underdog, which I also like. I'm not invested enough in the New York Giants to say that if the Jets aren't doing well, I wouldn't root for them, because I will always root for the underdog. God, I remember got when the Mets, one of my favorite, when I first moved to LA, I was flying back from New York, and I was watching on our flight. It was the Dodgers and Mets in the NLCS, like the series before the World Series. That's how much I know about sports. But right before the plane landed, I don't even remember who won, but I like half the plane started clapping and the other half you audibly groaned, and you knew who was coming home and who was visiting LA. It was and it's like that was special because that's like something you don't see every day. You don't
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
experience.
No, you've been a pretty big sports fan your whole life, or you've been into it a little bit your whole life?
Nope, I know nothing about football.
But why do you play fantasy football?
Gives me an excuse to be mean to my friends on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's really the
weird.
competition that
Yes,
you like.
it's really you. I feel like you've known me long enough to know that I'm very competitive, but not necessarily competitive over like fantasy football shouldn't take higher priority over comedy, which I think I am competitive when it comes to comedy, but not to the point where like I don't want comedy to be less fun doing because of it.
Yes. No, I've run into I think that's an interesting thing to talk about. I've run into some issues with that recently. It's like it's so easy to get competitive. And if it's the thing you care about most, could you not apply a little bit of an element? Like, how could you not view it as sort of a competitive activity? But the fact of the matter is, it's a subjective medium. It's essentially an art.
Yes.
And people get weird about that. But let's just call it an art for the sake of argument.
It's
100% you can't compete within art.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so it's an art. Can we put a button in that? Can we end that now?
Yes.
You can't get competitive over something that is judged purely subjectively. I mean, I suppose you could measure decibels in an audience and see who gets louder laughs or something.
Yeah.
But it's not sport. It doesn't need to be measured scientifically. If people want to see you perform, they'll pay to see you perform and they'll find you. It's an art. So why compare one comic with another? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's very easy to get miserable comparing yourself to other people and their successes, and particularly something like stand-up comedy. Like I see so many people who I would imagine are like good-hearted people, they're just so jaded and angry because they've been doing this so long. How long have you been at it?
I've been doing stand-up for 4 years, and I feel like I instantaneously turned into an angry, jaded maniac. Like it was like the second I started doing stand-up, I have I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm mad. I'm calling everybody a hack.
Yeah.
I'm smoking cigarettes. I'm drinking shot. I basically turned it. I have like I have callus on my forehead. I turned into Bukowski like almost immediately.
Yeah. It's
doing stand up.
And particularly when you see people, who you don't think deserve the opportunities that they're getting, which I think we got to look inwards with ourselves. It just feels so bad. It feels bad. And
comparison, easier said than done, but if you can avoid comparing yourself to anyone ever, that's a good idea.
Over anything.
And obviously, for any reason possible, it's probably best to not compare yourself to people.
Not even just with stand-up comedy, but if you're working for a law firm, or can you believe Jim from accounting got a promotion? That hack.
So this is an accountant at a law firm.
Yeah, I don't know what he would be promoted to. I know nothing about the
I love
legal
that.
system.
I mean, I did the exact same thing. Like I never had a white collar job. So like the second I started describing what it would be like, I realized I actually don't know the infrastructure of any company anywhere.
Dude, there was a very long time, like back when I first graduated college and I was looking for jobs in New York, I was thinking to myself, I was having trouble, and I was thinking to myself, there are millions of rooms, offices throughout the city of New York. I'm looking at this skyline. I don't know what most offices even do. What's their functional purpose? What is a human resource person?
Yeah, seriously. And the answer is they cancel within a company. Small time cancel.
Small time, okay.
So it's small. It's like
consequences for being
I think, but also, I don't know. I don't know enough to say anything about HR departments everywhere. But I think it's a similar thing. Like sometimes they'll fire someone for the wrong reasons just to make sure that just to placate the company.
Yeah, or they'll lay off people for money saving reasons. But where is that money coming from? Like,
and where is it going?
What's an investor?
And what does your company do? I agree. That whole culture doesn't make any sense to me. But also, those are the people who are probably going to buy tickets to comedy shows. So I think you're doing great work. All of you guys.
They're the office workers of America, the white collar guys. They deserve
keep going to live performance. Keep supporting live
subscribe
performance.
to this podcast. No, but it's please no. Yeah, no, you've been like so like other activities like throughout like the pandemic to keep us sane, like off our phones. Like, did you start surfing during the pandemic with Jared Levitt?
Yes.
God.
And I grew up near a beach in San Francisco. I could barely swim until this year.
Wow.
I never got in the ocean because San Francisco, like the further north you go in California,
it gets cold.
The crazier the water, the waves get bigger, the water's colder. There's always a rip tide. You always hear a story about somebody getting swept out. Like it's not enticing when everyone's like, every story you hear is a nightmare. Sharks, rip tides,
guys,
mavericks, 20-foot waves. I'm not going out with 20-foot waves.
Are you familiar with something called Morro Rock? Or is it it's in Morro Bay?
Yeah, I've surfed at Morro Bay, driving up to San Francisco now.
Oh, it's beautiful. Like
have you been there?
Yeah, I was there for the first time recently. And I was like reading all of the signs about like sharks, like don't go swimming at dusk or dawn, don't swim near fishermen, like that, like the
pretty
ocean,
terrifying.
Yeah, the ocean is a scary thing.
Yes, but here's the impetus for me. When I started, or when I thought I wanted to surf. First of all, you're a little bored. Like I was doing some work. Doing some forms of stand-up, trying to do Zoom shows or whatever the hell I was doing. But also you have a lot more time on your hands. And what a cool opportunity to use that time to overcome fear. And I was afraid of the ocean. genuinely. So, and Jared Levin, who does stand up, teaches surfing professionally. And, you know, I did do the bit that you've heard a million times about it. He's not the world's best. Like, people who teach surfing are not, they're not really trained communicators. So it's not like he was, yeah. A lot of onomatopoeias and noises, not super helpful. But it's cool to get someone to push you to get in the water and try something that is way outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
I think that's a good exercise. And I think for all comics, you know, no need to generalize, but for me, what a cool opportunity as like, if you want to have something interesting to talk about or have a reference experience where you overcame a fear, why not do it? Just in any activity. Why not try something really difficult, which you'll probably learn something about your, you know, human existence, but also something about the water, something about surfing, something about yourself.
Yeah.
While doing something difficult.
I think
I do kind of, I've gotten more into doing stuff like that, and probably too much, because then after a while you're like, you have 72 hobbies and you're not spending any time on the stuff you need to, and you're distracted. But I think there's a happy medium where you're doing stuff that challenges you outside of what you really care about, which in this case would be comedy.
Oh yeah. And I do feel like stepping outside of your comfort zone. I don't think, not even just for comedians, but for people,
for anybody, but for comics in particular, man, whatever you can do to train fear, I think is a good thing. Like, to a degree, you don't need to, you don't need to go pick up a rattlesnake and see what happens. But aside from that, like, why not try something hard?
That just reminded me of a time, me, Cole Alexander, and Connor Hingsley, we were playing golf one day, and like there was a giant snake. I don't think it was a rattlesnake. It was not rattling. Like, it was like a 3-4 foot snake. Connor's first reaction to it, he takes his golf club and he picks up the snake. And the snake, it didn't hiss or anything. It just looked visibly upset that he was being mildly inconvenienced. Like, he wasn't like the snake wasn't afraid. But, like, Connor got a picture with it, and I'm just like, dude, put the thing down and let it sunbathe. Like, for sakes, man.
Yeah, like that's an unnecessary. Like, you don't have to go out and do jackass stunts. Yeah. You don't have to walk a tightrope with a stake in your crotch, you know, while there are alligators beneath you. But doing things that are scary, I think that's a healthy thing. It seems crazy, but that actually it's productive just for anybody to get over. To address a fear and deal with it head on.
Yeah, and I think something with our culture right now, we're not being told enough that we are resilient, like that we're not going to overcome certain things. And I think facing a lot of your biggest fears, it does add to the resilience factor.
Yes. No, I think and this goes back to that initial talk about, you know, intentionally making comedy difficult.
Yeah,
you can basically use anything kind of as a training exercise, and I'm not saying I'm doing it well, but I think that's a good goal to have in mind.
Oh yeah,
whenever there's an opportunity to really challenge yourself, why not take it? And I do think this conversation is nice because there is a through line. Like, when in doubt, why not challenge yourself? And what is the antithesis of challenging yourself? It's your phone.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to challenge yourself here.
I do, like, just the addiction factor of a smartphone. Like, it almost, there's a certain part of my consciousness that I feel like gets numbed a little bit, and I just turn into a zombie. Yeah. I become less self-aware.
Like, the human brain hasn't evolved in any sort of significant way in the last 100 years or so, but technology has big time. And our brains are not ready for it.
I don't think our brains are meant for a think tank that spans across the entire population of Earth.
Exactly. This is kind of, technology has over evolved. Yeah. It's gotten too complicated, and they're just trying to make money. We're like pawns.
Yeah.
And you watch the documentary.
Yeah.
We are the product now for the most part.
Yeah, not only are we the product, I I think it's incredible that Apple has figured out that we will spend upwards of $1,000 on a phone that they sell our data. Not only we are the product, but we are the consumer at the same time. And it's like the sale of data, like it's just isn't enough for them. Like whatever they could do to
No, they talk about cutthroat, bloodthirsty maniacs.
Oh
The
God.
tech industry is what a vile business it's become.
It is.
And honestly, there's some nice byproducts. Netflix is amazing for entertainment. It really is.
Oh, I think.
But that's a tech company.
Spotify, like all these like music apps, I've gotten into a lot of incredible bands that have changed the soundtrack to my life forever.
I would say change your life. Forever.
Yeah. Just from hitting, if I hear a song that I like, I hit start radio and I'll hear a song or a band that I'll just fall in love with. Like it was the first time I ever heard the Beatles.
Yeah, absolutely. But for every really cool byproduct of technology, for every amazing Spotify where you can hit the like thing and then you get more songs that you like, and then you're like just enveloped with all this amazing for every experience like that, there's like 3 million horrible things happening in technology. The ratio is not good.
Yeah, it's bad. I like the job market, dating, human interaction.
Oh my
empathy.
God. Oh, and what about porn?
Porn
is like the depth of social, the depth of human social capabilities.
Okay. Well, you think it like porn like sets like a certain it begins to set
not the response I was expecting.
Yeah. Do you think I like this is something that I do wonder. Do you think porn has set like a harder expectations for intimacy to reach?
Absolutely. Well, harder expectations. It warps your mind completely. You think it subconsciously trains you to think that you should not care about people. You should not care about the person you're romantically interested in.
Yeah.
You should be able to have sex with them immediately. You guys should be upside down, throwing each other over your heads, each other's heads. It gives you weird body expectations.
Yeah.
Certain, orifices should be a certain size. Everyone's, boobs should be gigantic, and everybody should be screaming all the time. Like, it gives you all these expectations that are not human inclinations. It's not how we're supposed to function as humans.
Oh, God.
Because it's like the most cartoonish, enticing version of sex, but that's all you see nonstop.
Oh,
so then before you know it, everybody's spitting on each other and like getting penis enlargement surgery and trying to flip people over. You're doing a UFC fight every time you have sex now, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and
you're gonna get a cauliflower ear from sex, Ian.
If only, am I right? No, but like, I think intimacy. There is a difference between sex and intimacy, and is it a demiosexual, like something like I
haven't kept track with all the kinds of sexualities you can have now.
Meaning, like you have to be emotionally connected to the person you are sleeping with.
Well, that's a good one, man. And I think porn kind of instills the exact opposite.
Exactly.
The exact opposite expectation. Your expectations are, I do not want to care about the person I have sex with. And that's something that pretty much any young person is trying to overcome or not trying to overcome right now.
Yeah.
Which is even worse. And I just watched the Tiger Woods documentary, the first part of that.
Okay, I didn't see.
You think that guy's sexcapades where he's having sex with Denny's waitresses, you think that wasn't influenced by Pornhub? Of course it was.
God, well, I've never like looked at the porn industry's effect, and it's funny because I think the porn industry has also taken a hit in the past couple of years because it's like because people could just record this shit on their phones at this point. Like you don't need to assemble a giant film crew.
And like this little part of the conversation need to be all about sex, but porn is a nice microcosm for dehumanizing people through technology.
I've never taken a look at that before, and I think the problem with
But
technology.
it doesn't make sense. It's like you don't value human interaction anymore, the same way you don't value human interaction on Twitter or on social or on Instagram or whatever or Reddit.
Exactly. We don't have empathy to realize that maybe the people we're canceling, if you will, maybe the people we're so quick to pass judgment on, maybe there's some human side to them, and that what they're doing is actually mean. But they're
and like, if you're interested in someone, you should be interested in them as a human being, not because of some crazy shit they're saying on Twitter, or because they can do a handstand and have sex at the same time. Like, you should care about the person.
A handstand and have sex at the same time.
Yeah, like, you shouldn't love someone because they take part in a human centipede thing. Like, you should love them because they're a human being, because you got to know them, because you talked about books and music and also and got to know their family. Like, there's no porn where some guy is like, man, wasn't that great getting to see where you came from and meet your family and wander around the plains of Wisconsin.
Learning
that
about
doesn't
someone.
happen. Yeah, they're just flipping,
Well, like, kind of in some sort of way, the romantic comedy could be like a more, not even romantic comedy, like a like.
No, but that's an interesting idea to bring up. The romantic comedy has kind of gone by the wayside. There was an era where that was really, and I'm not saying those are my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But that was like a really, that was almost like as exciting as porn for some people. That was like a guilty pleasure for a lot of people. And now this guilty pleasure is like, I don't want to know what, like, just shoving things inside people. Like, who knows what a guilty pleasure is now?
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
I don't know. I believe that if you truly love something, you love something without judgment, and therefore it's not a guilty pleasure. You should not feel guilty for it.
Sure. There you go. But like, I think romantic comedies used to be more exciting because romance used to be more exciting.
Yeah.
And I don't love romantic comedy. Most romantic comedies are kind of a joke, but there is something sweet about them. There's something nice about them.
There are certain, I think romantic comedies, like, there is a certain element of good storytelling, like a show example, like How I Met Your Mother. I just thought was just so brilliantly written, and that's not even just for like the romantic element of it. And then you have other stuff like You've Got Mail. That movie, like Tom Hanks, Dave Chappelle was the best friend, which I completely forget. Meg Ryan.
Yes, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. That movie aged horribly, like mostly because like technology has advanced so much.
Because of AOL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've Got Mail.
That's true. But that's like a time capsule, though, which is kind of cool too. You're like, oh, holy crap! That's how people used to text each other.
Yeah, I used to live down the block from Grace Papaya, so it's like I watch that. That's something that reminds me of the Upper West Side of New York City. Just one of those things. Like back in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of, and there are actually a lot of rom-coms that take place in the Upper West Side, I think, or in New York at least.
Oh yeah, it's New York is a very romantic place in a lot of ways, or at least was.
I agree.
Not during the
I think
COVID
you should.
era.
I think if you want to have like a spin-off podcast, I think a podcast called New York is a Romantic Place in a Lot of Ways, starring Ian Rousso. I think that would be a good podcast.
New York is a romantic place in a lot of ways, but not during the COVID era with Ian Ira Rousso.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's a nice concise title, hosted by Ian Rousso.
Ian Ira Rousso. I need to drive the point home that I'm Jewish. No, but I'm trying to, like, even something like The Notebook, I found like was a very well presented story.
I haven't seen The Notebook. That's the one where he's just like crying in the rain the whole time?
It's been a long time since I've watched it. It's definitely a movie that you watch with your significant other. Even though I actually watched it because it was on TV and I had nothing to do, and I was like, "This is good." Like I watched The Notebook under the absolute wrong circumstances, but I'm glad I did.
Right. Well, the cliche is you're supposed to be forced to watch it by your
Yeah,
girlfriend who's crying the whole time. Yeah.
but I did like The Notebook.
I mean, there's like, again, what a breath of fresh air compared to what we're dealing with right now,
Yeah.
media wise.
It's other great rom-coms. Like I can't even I get like Friends.
Well, and
feels
Woody
very
Allen
dated.
is kind of people. You're not supposed to talk about Woody Allen anymore.
Yeah.
Those most of his movies could easily be categorized as rom-coms, and they're brilliant. They're great movies.
Oh yeah, like Woody Allen at the end of the day, ignoring all this awful stuff. Like, yeah, one of the great storytellers of.
But also, those are New York rom-coms. Annie Hall.
Yeah,
that's a rom-com. What's the other one? Manhattan. That's a rom-com.
Did you see I Love You, Daddy?
Oh yeah, Louis movie. Yeah.
That was not a rom-com.
Yeah, No, not quite. It was kind of like a Woody Allen movie, though.
It was supposed to be an homage to the movie Manhattan, which is why I brought it up.
Yeah, no, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
And a little harder. I think I would have enjoyed it more if he wasn't canceled before it came out.
Yeah, exactly. It was a very the timing of everything was just horrible. Like if the movie came out like a couple months before, it would have been like, all right, this is very different, unique storytelling. Like,
right. I kind of I like his show so much, the TV show, Louis. I kind of wish he had just made a movie that was like the show.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
you know what I mean? Like, because he has such a specific writing style and aesthetic and sense of timing. He kind of changed everything for the I Love You, Daddy movie.
Yeah, stepping outside of your comfort zone. No,
I suppose that's true, but like for your first feature film, that's what you're gonna do. I feel like he should have stuck to his guns for the first.
It wasn't his first feature film. Pootie Tang was.
Well, I know Pootie Tang. I trust me.
Yeah.
but
I know
his first feature. Yeah, no, I actually saw Pootie Tang in theaters before. In the 2 days that Pootie Tang was in theaters, I saw it.
God, wow. Who?
When I was like 13.
But Horace and Pete, I think, is something so
Horace and Pete
unique,
is awesome. But Horace and Pete's a play. It's a play that he shot like a sitcom.
Yes, I basically I described it to my parents as like Cheers, but as a tragedy.
Well, it's like, the fact of the matter is it's like Cheers, but like what's actually happening at Cheers.
I
you know what I mean? Like the real Cheers. It's like the dark underbelly of a bar where people basically go every day and drink.
Yeah, they're just drinking their sorrows away from the f***ed up lives they have.
Man, I think that's such a great series, and you kind of have to be cool with like some pretty dark stuff. But man, is that a well done web series? I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, it's very well casted. Like some of the actors they have, and
a lot of comics, a lot of cool comics.
Stephen Wright, Kurt Metzger, I believe.
Stephen Wright, Kurt Metzger.
Yeah.
Mark Norman. There's so many people who don't really act who are good in that. Liza Traeger's really funny and she's good in it.
Yeah.
But he's also got Steve Buscemi and he's got everybody in it.
Yeah, a guy like Steve Buscemi, like he's one of the best actors of our generation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just like to get him to sign on to that. There's these. I've never sat down and read a Horace and Pete PDF of a script, but I'm sure just everything leaped off the page, flowed incredibly well, and it was just I
have a feeling that he and Louis are friends too.
Yeah, I think as time passes. I like to like again I feel like this is basically a podcast where
Are you saying you'd like to be friends? You'd like to be friends with Steve Buscemi at some point?
yeah, why he seems like a night go bowling with him. I'm throwing rocks tonight.
That's great. You know what if like I cannot. First of all, I can't picture you bowling.
Yeah.
And I can't picture Steve Buscemi bowling separately.
Yeah.
I definitely can't. I would have a hard time picturing you bowling together. But that would be fun to watch and very fun to do, I would think.
Oh yeah, dude, who wouldn't want to bowl with Steve Buscemi? It's like
you're saying it like everyone's like, oh yeah, Steve Buscemi bowling. That makes like that doesn't necessarily check out.
Yeah.
But it would. I would love to. Now that you've said it, Ian,
Yeah.
I would love to bowl with Steve Buscemi.
Dude, yeah, God, if you could get him and John Goodman, just the three of us, it's been a while. It's been a while. Oh yeah, the dude, obviously.
So that's why you're talking about bowling because
yeah.
of the Big Lebowski. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like a jackass. I was like, it was him, John Goodman, and who was the third one in the mix? I thought it was a trio. Oh yeah, the series lead. God, or not the series, the movie lead.
The star of the movie. Yeah.
God, it's
Jeff Bridges. So you would like to be the dude, is what you're saying. That's your goal.
No,
entertainment.
I am the dude.
So you drink White Russians. You're gonna start bowling.
Yeah, walk around in a robe everywhere.
Walk around. Has anybody peed on anything in your apartment yet?
Not that I know of.
So maybe.
Yeah, I forget. Were you here the night that I had a New Year's party? It was me and my friend Robbie and Erica Inez, and just like after midnight, everybody who was at the fourth wall showed up.
Peeing. Okay.
Probably somebody from the fourth wall pee. Like I wouldn't be.
No, I wasn't here. It was like 2 years ago.
It's maybe like 3 years ago, maybe.
No.
I'm trying
I wasn't there.
I remember the last couple New Year's. This year, obviously, I was here drinking alone. The year before, I was setting up off fireworks in Inglewood. It might have been the year before that, so 2018 to 2019.
Well, I'd love to come to the next one.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to party again by the end of the year.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I thought you were like,
Can't
no,
wait for
it's
it.
not happening.
No, partying is it's dead. Partying is never gonna happen again.
Yeah, no more bars, no more concerts, no more stage dives, no more.
Yeah, isn't that funny how people have kind of reacted to COVID like that? Like, well, who knows? The restaurants may never open. Like they will. I mean, some will go out of business, and that's very sad.
Most will. I've heard 7% in LA.
We will be eating in restaurants in a surprisingly short period of time.
I like to believe that Dodger Stadium is now becoming like a super site for vaccinating. I like to believe if enough people get on board, this will, maybe by April, who knows, we could be pleasantly surprised. Probably won't be.
Yeah. And it's like, let's say hypothetically, let's say it's 2022. That's when everything's totally normal. It's a year away, but it's not that far away.
I just don't like feeling like everything is at a standstill professionally. I don't I feel like time has stopped, but I'm still aging. And right now I'm approaching I'm approaching the prime of my life physically, and I want to get out there and.
What would you say is the actual, what's going to be the prime of your life physically?
I don't know, I'd say like 37, 38.
That's when you peak, like that's when the Mickey Mantle gene kicks in and you can run marathons and hit home runs and eat hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah, I gotta chill out with the hot dogs, but yeah. By the way, I don't know if I told you this. I found a hot dog place by accident. There's I was on like a rabbit hole. Do you remember the band Eve 6?
I'm not don't quiz me on music, Ian. Not a music guy. Eve 6.
I would swallow my pride, I would choke on the rhyme, but the lack thereof will leave me empty inside. I would swallow my doubt, turn it inside out, find nothing but faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in the blender, watch it spin around with... No? You don't remember that song?
No, none of, to be honest, none of this is doing anything for me, but you can keep singing.
Okay.
If you want to keep singing,
I'm not gonna
I think it's good.
I'm not going to keep singing Eve
Okay.
6. The point is,
I like the song.
I was on their Wikipedia page.
You could have told me that you wrote that song.
Yeah.
And I would have been like, that's really, man, Ian, that's great. That's really
I'm
good.
just a poet. I'm the voice of a generation. No, but Eve 6, the first show that they ever played was, I was reading on their Wikipedia page, it was at an old coffee shop. I believe it was called like Irish Coffee Pub or something. Eagles Coffee Pub. There we go. Eagles Coffee Pub. It was on Lancashire, and I was bored, and I looked up the address of it, and today it's a hot dog place called Vicious Dogs. It's on Lancashire, just north of Magnolia, and like I passed it, and it was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a hot dog, and you know what? I was pleasantly surprised. Thanks to the band Eve 6, I got to have a new, I found a new hot dog joint while Pink's is closed.
Good to know. Well, we got multiple hot dog places to hit.
Yeah. Carney's.
Now, Ian, I do have to go at 3.
Yeah,
if there's anything you really want to...
No, this has been great. I was actually trying to naturally lead into being like, we've been talking forever. How much? An hour and 22 minutes so far. Wow, it's
yeah. So
yeah, is there anything you want?
How do you edit this?
I to be honest, like straightforward, and I bleep out the swear words.
Just put it up.
Yeah. I find like a natural entryway, like almost like mid conversation. Yeah, it looks and sounds good. Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug?
Cut it up and anything I want to plug?
Yeah.
Well,
Ben
definitely
Changed My
Comedy
Life?
Rhetoric, which sure. Well, my Instagram, Ben Herwitz comedian on Instagram.
That goes.
If you have
social media bars go down below. Drop my hand sanitizer. But
excellent.
Yeah.
If you have questions for me, you can send them to me, and I'll answer them on Ben Changed My Life.
Yeah, which is
I've
enjoyed that series a lot.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And of course, the mutual the thing that we're both involved with, Comedy Rhetoric. Follow Comedy Rhetoric on Instagram. It's a weekly show every Friday in the Pan Pacific Amphitheater, and some other shows on the way too. One in Eagle Rock, one downtown, and possibly another one in Hollywood.
Yeah, we're making moves. You want to see the only live comedy in Los Angeles safely? Bring a mask. I swear to God, I will make fun of you if you're not wearing a mask. I do the cold open every show, which thank you for giving me that opportunity, because I've been bowing. I've gotten used to bowing now that shaking hands. Everybody laughs.
I think you should do that as a bit. The bowing thing should be a bit, I think.
But it's not a bit. All right.
It's actually a good point. It's much safer than the elbow thing right now.
It's safer.
During a pandemic, bowing makes sense. Sorry?
It's safer and it's less awkward than the elbow thing.
I think the less awkward is debatable, but it's definitely safer to not touch someone.
You think the elbow is like less awkward than bowing?
Again, I think you can make a pretty good argument for both being more awkward. Yeah. For two Jews to bow to each other, I think that's a little awkward, but not, depends on who's doing it. It depends on which Jew is doing the bowing.
I'm telling you, the bow is going to take over the handshake. Next couple years, we're going to be done with shaking hands forever. I hope the high five never goes away, because that's something that is so... Going back to the part of intimacy, there is no way to better connect with another human being than high-fiving them.
I think you could probably make an argument against that as well. But I see what you're saying.
Okay. Well, this has been fun.
What about hugging as opposed to high-fiving?
Hugging is great, don't get me wrong, but high fives, that's okay, hugging. To feel the warmth
I think hugging is probably a little bit more
intimate
than the high five.
Yeah.
And we talked about porn earlier. I think that's probably more. So I do have one more thing to plug though.
Yeah, shoot.
It's like kind of a future plug. I'm starting a podcast where I bet on horse races.
Okay.
Called Bets. I need to work out logistics because I don't know what the legality of actually putting the horse race like live, streaming the horse race live is, if I'm allowed to rebroadcast.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But the idea is I'm going to be doing kind of a standard podcast, but betting on 3 to 4 horse races while podcasting.
Okay.
And making picks and, I think it'll be fun. Ben Bets. I'll put it on Instagram.
Yeah, right. Like I can't imagine. You think they have like the same grasp to their content like the NFL does?
I don't think it's the same. I mean, trust me, the NFL is an enormous industry, and horse racing is not even close.
Yeah, it doesn't even compare.
But doesn't compare. Horse racing is really cool, but relative to the NFL, nobody watches live horse racing. Yeah. So maybe I can get away with it. We'll see. I might also end up in prison because of it, and that would be probably a nice selling point for a podcast.
That would be.
I'm playing. I want to play with. I think people want to watch someone play with fire, and that's my goal with the podcast.
Right on. Well, man, I'm gonna
ruin my life live.
Ben Herwitz.
I want to stay.
Dude, thank you so much, man. Well, this was.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Dude,
and
I will see you soon. You. Maybe we'll grab a hot dog in a bit. I don't know.
Sounds great, man.
All right, later, dog.
All right, buddy.